Hello and welcome back to Exposing Human Trafficking. This is going to be a very emotional video, but I have to make it so that you know how human trafficking works and how the human trafficking boyfriend is so important to the organized crime to get you involved in human trafficking. In the description box below, I'm going to put a video of a scene from Legends of the Falls because, as usual, nothing that Brad does is original. He always sticks something of mine in it. Maybe in some sick, sadistic, satanic way. Maybe in the hopes that I would have watched one of his movies so he could torment me more later on. And get me to do things again against my will because of manipulation and threats. But remember, the human trafficking boyfriend in this scheme is the one that is so sweet and loving and romantic and doting and caring. You could tell the pain is still so deep. I still carry it. Because I loved him and I wanted the best for him. I didn't want anything bad to happen to him. And I wanted him to have his career that he dreamt about. But he pretended to be enemies with my stepbrother, George Bermudez Jr. And that's how they set it up. It's a scene from Legends of the Falls. And it played out just the way it did in real life. I was outside. I used to go and smoke on the side of my house so I wouldn't get caught smoking. Because in Puerto Rico, if you smoke and you were a girl, meant you were a whore and a slut. And I like cigarettes. I've always liked cigarettes. Before I smoked, I used to dream about cigarettes and smoking. And in college, my generation, we were a little bit more, shall we say, progressive. And we'd smoke cigarettes and drink coffee and talk about life and dreams and everything else under the sun, politics, you name it. We didn't have to go to therapists because we talked things amongst ourselves. And people gave advice and listened and compassion. And every conversation was deep. And so it was the custom that at 2 o'clock, Puerto Rico people meet for coffee and pastries and smoke a cigarette and talk. And I learned a lot. Everyone was out, and I was on the side of the house smoking a cigarette. And I heard a vehicle in front of my house. And I heard the door shut, and I saw a taxi drive past, so I came out to see who was there. And there was Brad. And I was so excited that my Prince Charming had come back for me. I was so happy to see him. And he kissed me. And he said that he had made it big in Hollywood. And he was there to take me with him. And we could be happy and live our happily ever after. And then he said the words that broke me. He said, "I'm sorry about the ritual. I didn't know it would be so bad." And the thought of it, of everything I'd been through, had been caused by him, just shattered me. I didn't know what to say. Here was a boy that I loved more than anything, that I was trying to save his life. Because my brother had threatened to hurt him. And he was the one behind the whole thing. And he had my ring. The engagement ring that he took back from me. And it was horrible what he had done. Because that ring meant everything to me. He had put that ring on my finger when he proposed Chatsworth the night before the ritual. I later found out that when Satanists do rituals, they'll give you a piece of jewelry the night before or the day before. So it wasn't even a real engagement. He just had to give me a piece of jewelry. And he made the excuse of an engagement to be sure that I'd wear it. It was a tiny little diamond chip, marquee diamond, on a gold band, 10-karat gold. And everybody used to tell me, "That's such a puny diamond. You need to get a guy with more money." And I didn't care because I loved him. And it wasn't about the size of the ring. It was about the size of the love. The lie. The lie of love that he told me. In the scene, you'll see that the girl gives him back a bracelet. And he says, "You said it was magic, that whoever would be wearing it would be protected." And he tells her to keep it. That's something else he stole from me. I was in a car accident on the highway with a drunk driver. I was riding passenger in the front seat. My sister was driving. And the drunk driver hit a cabriolet convertible, and they hit us. And we fell in the ditch. The cabriolet was pirouetting on its front grille. It was some young kids. They were about, 17, 18. It's a boy and a girl, boyfriend, girlfriend. I was 22. My sister, I think, was about 20. And if the cabriolet hadn't have hit us, those kids would have been killed. when we got hit, we started rolling down the hill. The car was flipping. And I was like, I can't die. I've got to marry you. I can't die. And all of a sudden, the diamond, it made this beam of light. And as the car was rolling, it straightened itself out. And we didn't get crushed to death. When the paramedics came, they were looking for dead bodies. And they couldn't believe we survived, because nobody survived that part of the interstate. Had the cabriolet not hit us, they would have flown into oncoming traffic. And with my sister and I had that light not come from that diamond, which was the power of the love that I had for him, we would have been crushed to death. In therapy, we talked about it. And Brad, pretending to be the Christian, took interest as to the power that was now in that ring. The night of July 20, 1989, every time someone would come and rape me, I would tell them that I was engaged to Brad, that they couldn't do this, not to do this to me. And I would show them the ring. They didn't respect that. Neither did the women. And yes, the women did rape me too. And I told Brad that that ring was magic, and that it protected me. And as long as I had it on, I'd be protected from whatever happened. So he took that and stole it and stuck it in a stupid movie. Once I figured out that my doting boyfriend that I loved more than anything in the world had been my predator, I shattered into millions of pieces. I died. Right there in front of him, I died. Died of a broken heart. The betrayal is too much. I told him I couldn't go. I told him I needed to stay with the children, my younger brother, and my sister. Even though my sister was grown, they were still my children because I helped raise them. I gave them allowance. And I tried as hard as I could to keep them safe from my pedophile stepfather, who was always threatening to rape them if he couldn't rape me. Brad said that they could come with us, that he had a nice place and we could all live together and be happily ever after. I knew I had to get rid of Brad. I knew I had to get rid of him. So I told him a big lie. I told him I had a boyfriend. Because when he broke up with me, he took that ring back. He ambushed me with the doctors and said I needed to give him back his ring, along with other things he had given me. And that if I didn't give him back that ring, he would sue me for it. And he had the ring in his hand once more, wanting to put it back on my hand so that he could do more bad things to me. I cried so much that day at therapy, but he didn't care. The doctors had said he'd marry someone else. I said he could get married twice. I didn't care. He could have 6 kids and come back to me. And I'd have the 7th with him. He had the doctors fooled. The doctor said I'd find someone else. And so I told him I'd find someone else. And when he came back, I told him I had a boyfriend and I couldn't go with him. And he asked me what his name was, and I couldn't think of a name, and I thought of Sean was the first name that came to my mind. And he didn't believe me. And I said yes, and then he said, well, can we finish the ritual? I said no. And he left. When I went back to therapy the following week, the doctors put me back together in such a way that he would never hurt me again by seeing him. And I screamed and begged for them to take him out of my reality. Because the boy that I fell in love with didn't exist in him. It was all a lie with him. And he really wasn't my Prince Charming. He's just a good actor. He's a guy that gets paid because he lies so well and so convincingly. And he has memory, good memory enough to be able to remember these lines and deliver them to audiences. He told me forever took too long, just like in the movie. And I was like, what? And he said, in the movie, there's a girl, and she says, forever took too long. And all I could think about was all the porn movies that they had made me do. Because they kept drugging me. They kept holding knives on me, beating me, threatening those I loved, killing my cat. And no, it wasn't that forever took too long. Because as a Puerto Rican woman, I know that men come back if they love you. And I was always waiting for him to come back. because he had said he loved me. Once he'd come to his senses, he'd come back. So no, forever did not take too long. But finding out that he was a human trafficking boyfriend and a Satanist was what took it all away forever. He had told me that he became a Satanist. And he also had told me that day that they had gotten him too, and they had films on him, and they were making him pay. So now my brother was extorting money from him, along with the coven. This is how sick and selfish Brad Pitt is. When he came back, August 7th, 2018, to Taos Plaza when I was busking, he had that ring. And he showed it to me. And I asked him what size it was. It was a size 6. That's what I wore at 21. I was tiny. I'm not fat. But, at that age, you're really still tiny. And now I wear a size 7. Because my body's turned into a woman. And he took the ring and showed it to me. And I said, no, I'm a size 7. It doesn't fit. And he put it away. When they came to sodomize me, January 11th of 2019, he gave that ring to Tom Hickey so that Tom Hickey could come and abuse me some more, sexually abuse me, and make more porn videos. There's no way that Tom Hickey could have gotten that ring unless Brad gave it to him. And that's what the human trafficking boyfriend does. I'm sorry for the tears. But the tears only prove that I was capable of loving someone so much and wanting the best for that person so much. And I don't think Brad could ever feel that way for anyone. He doesn't know what love is. And I'm glad that I had that love, even though he didn't deserve it. I'm glad that I was able to love someone that much. And the truth is, I still love that way. I love deeply and completely. I love my friends. I love my animals. And no matter what he's done to me, I still love. After the doctors put me back together, my theme song became I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. And I still have all my love to give and all my life to live, and I will survive. But I just wanted to share with you how deep they play with victims' emotions to manipulate victims. And they look for the most innocent and loving ones, because then they could do whatever they want to that person. So please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't, hit the notification bell, and share so that there'll be not one more victim of human trafficking. Thank you.